So today we're going to be talking about the 10 directors I think will take over cinema in terms of who I think will surpass those that are at the top right now, like the Christopher Nolans, the Quentin Tarantinos, the even Spielbergs and Scorsese. And number 10, I have Chloe Zhao. In terms of her style, she's very into nature and uses that to her advantage in terms of how she shoots things, in terms of the wides and Nomadland and The Writer. And right now she's at the top of her game. She just won an Oscar for it. And she's about to come out with The Eternals. Number 9, I have Ryan Coogler, who has done movies such as Black Panther, Creed, and his first indie, Fruitvale Station. He's going to be, I can already see it, him being at the top in 10 years, probably winning an Oscar. He's already has another movie coming out, Black Panther 2. He's very focused on like single character arcs in a lot of his movies, which of course is also similar to someone maybe like Scorsese. He used to do that back then with Taxi Driver and Goodfellas. He'd focus on one character and his trajectory within that movie. So I could definitely see Ryan Coogler coming out as being one of the top directors in the next 10 years. For 8, we have Barry Jenkins, who has made movies like Moonlight and If Beale Street Could Talk. He already won an Oscar for Moonlight, so I could definitely see him doing it again in terms of focusing on that kind of melodrama storytelling that he usually does. And I think he'll maintain being one of the top 10 directors in the next 10 years. In terms of storytelling, Barry Jenkins uses a lot of relationship focus in his movies. Obviously in Beale Street Could Talk, we see the dynamic between the two main characters and the male and the female. And then in Moonlight, he focuses again on the relationships, which seem to be a constant theme in terms of his films, and I think will continue to be in the future. Number 7, we have the Safdie brothers, which I think will be pretty much the new Coen brothers in the future, because their movies just keep getting better and better. In terms of the first really big feature that came out was Good Time, and then in a couple of years they came out with Uncut Gems, which I think is their best film so far. They're usually with the fast-paced drama scene, especially feels very New York, and I think they are from New York as well, so they use that to their advantage. And also the Safdie brothers, I think, are just going to become one of the staples siblings in cinema in the next 10 years, probably surpassing maybe even the Coen brothers in the future. Next 3 filmmakers are kind of already seen as the horror trio in the sense, because they are going to be the ones with the most probably horror movies if they continue with that genre in the future. In terms of the next one that I have coming up is Robert Eggers, which is, along with Ari Astor and Jordan Peele, I think they're going to be the front runners in terms of taking horror to the next level in the next couple of years. For Robert Eggers, he's already made The Witch, starring Anya Taylor-Joy, and now he already has also The Lighthouse with Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, which was great, I thought, in terms of using his classic style of using folk tales into a story. He's already become really good at that, and I'm pretty sure in his next movie called The Northman, he's going to be even better. At number 5, we have Jordan Peele, which we already know him as probably the most prominent director in terms of horror right now, and people are just going to constantly want to watch him, considering what he's already done, especially with like Key and Peele and stuff like that. But I think he's already becoming one of the most recognized directors even today. So in the next 10 years, I'm assuming he'll be right up there with all of them. And his style in terms of bringing the horror as well as a political message in his movies is something that he's done in Get Out and Us. So I could see him continuing that trend or even doing something wildly different. Coming in at number 4, we have Ari Astor, which I think will be one of the most prominent directors, as well as with Jordan Peele and Robert Eggers, and bring that new wave of horror for the next coming years. He already has done that with Hereditary and Midsommar. He's going to probably continue doing that with his next upcoming film, even though I've heard it's going to be a drama starring Joaquin Phoenix, so that's going to be interesting. But I think he's going to maintain probably that horror element in his movies. And even though people have called his movies kind of dramas at times, I think he still remains as one of the best horror directors even now, because he still utilizes in a unique way the gore element in his films, especially in Hereditary and Midsommar. So I think Ari Aster, along with the other two, are going to be the most prominent horror directors in the next 10 years. And at number 3, I have Greta Gerwig with her unique indie style of filmmaking. I think she'll continue to be kind of a star in creating movies that have a unique female perspective in terms of how she views women and their relationship to men, and constantly having that as a theme and motif across all her films. In terms of movies like Lady Bird and Little Women, she always uses a sense of comedy, which is I think is her best asset in these films a lot of the times. And there's always a sense of kind of introspectiveness in these films, which you can see in each character that she works with. And I probably, if I had to guess, she's probably going to continue working with people like Saoirse Ronan and great actors. So she'll probably be right up there with all the other similar drama type movies in the next 10 years. Number two, I have Yorgos Lanthamos. I think his style of filmmaking is very multi-genre based. So he could really come up with anything. In terms of movies like The Lobster and Killing of a Sacred Deer, he constantly changes up his genre. One is a comedy romance. The next is almost like a straight up horror movie. So with Yorgos, is almost we can expect anything at this point. And is also he has a historical genre based movie in The Favorite, which got him nominated. So he's gonna be consistently just coming back to back with more and more great, interesting movies in the next 10 years. Last but not least, we have Damon Chazelle, which is probably one of the more recognized directors, especially on this list, I think, because it's basically him and Jordan Peele, I feel like, are the most known throughout the cinema right now. He's already made classics like Whiplash and La La Land, and First Man I really enjoyed as well. So he's gonna continue making these dramas that are gonna continue to live on in the next 10 years, and I think he'll make a lot more, and maybe even better ones in the next 10 years. He usually utilizes sound in a very specific and interesting way in all those films, and even the use of suspense is a guarantee. In movies like First Man and Whiplash especially, we constantly see suspenseful scenes, even to the very end of his films. So he's going to continue being one of the great ones in the next 10 years. So guys, that was my 10 directors for the next 10 years, which I think will maybe take over or even surpass maybe some of the greats that we know now, like the Nolans and maybe the Finchers and Spielbergs and Tarantinos that we have right now in the next 10 years. Let me know what you guys think of that list, and let me know your top 10 directors for the next 10 years. Have a good one.